America's only Irish station, Radio Irish. That's what you're listening to. Sean McCarthy here, and I'm over the moon to welcome the beautiful and talented singer-songwriter Susanna Hoffs of the Bangles to Radio Irish. How are you, Susanna?
Hey, Sean. I'm doing very well. Very nice to talk with you.
Well, you have an incredible new album of 10 songs out, Susanna, titled Someday, which has music critics across the globe writing deservedly brilliant reviews. Tell me, had you planned to write this album when it came, Susanna, or was it a bolt out of the blue, so to speak?
More the latter, more of a bolt out of the blue, but also a long simmering dream to make a solo record. I've been so caught up in traveling around with the Bangles, which is so fun, and I had been kind of back-burnering the idea of doing a solo record, but it was never out of my mind. But the bolt out of the blue part was just meeting up with this kid from Nashville who I met through a family member and who ended up being this incredible songwriting partner unexpectedly. And all the stars kind of aligned in just the right way. He was looking to move to LA, so he needed a place to stay temporarily. He ended up living in our guest room at our house for months, and I found myself every night going into the living room with a guitar and writing songs with him. And, that was how the album came to be, just having all these songs that I was very thrilled about, written in a very short span of time, the bulk of them written in very quickly.
Well, there are 10 original songs on your new album, Someday, Susanna, the majority of which you co-wrote with Andrew Brazel. Tell me a bit about your work with Andrew. How did you both collaborate and arrive at these songs?
Well, we started off just having the notion of testing out whether we could write a song without any real purpose to it, just as a kind of experiment. And the first song we wrote was Picture Me, but it was kind of in a different form. It was two good people strumming on guitars, and it actually had, if you can imagine it, it's hard now that you can hear the final product is very Burt Bacharach inspired, but the original version was kind of almost country-ish, but the melody was exactly the same, just the bed underneath the melody was a bit different. So but I think there was a good rapport between us, even though he wasn't born until the 80s. He's a big fan of 60s music. And for some reason, the 60s have always been kind of the influence for everything musically for me personally. And I think it was when I fell in love with music as a young child, and the Beatles were probably the first band I ever loved, and I still love them as much as I did way back when. But Andrew, he had this incredible kind of knowledge. He'd studied up on all the great music from the 60s, so we were able to share that, and yet he brought kind of the focus that someone in their mid-20s has. He's sort of unencumbered by family stuff, and his whole mission in life was to just wake up in the morning and create. So he was a very good force to enter my world and bring that kind of focus on the writing. And there's something about collaborating with him that was just very easy.
Well, the album Someday is produced by Mitchell Froome, who has also produced for the Bangles in the past, as well as Paul McCartney, Elvis Costello, Robin Gibb, to mention just a few greats. Talk to me a little about working with Mitchell Froome, Susanna. What sets him apart as a producer?
Well, he's incredibly brilliant as an arranger and as a musician. So everyone that I've met who's worked with Mitchell has the same thing to say about that. I mean, he can listen to a song, and he can envision the best way to bring out the melody, and whether it's with the arrangement. In our case, we made a decision partway through kind of just workshopping the material, getting it really tightened up and ready to go into the studio. We came up with the idea of the 60s inspired orchestrations. But even that was all to serve the melody and the story of the song. Whatever was going to bring out the focus on the emotion and sort of put the architecture around it that was going to present it in the way that would be the most effective to get the emotion across. And see, I think that's just a gift that he has for being able to do that. And he just knows so much about music. And also part of the reason we had to be so prepared for the recording process, again, Mitchell's idea was that we should go about recording it very quickly. The whole idea was to record things with a band in the room. So I sang all my vocals live the day that we tracked everything. Everything was done very fast. So actually, Andrew and Mitchell and I worked really hard leading up to the dates that we were actually going to record the songs, just kind of rehearsing them. And it was really a fun process. I enjoyed it thoroughly, the whole from the rehearsing part to the recording part to the final part where we added all the orchestrations. It was thrilling.
Well, the song Always Enough seems to be dedicated to your two boys, Jackson and Sam. And the song This Is the Place about your family. Am I right, Susanna?
I think you're right, yeah. I mean, the thing that was really cool about writing with someone who was actually living with the family was that there was all the songs were very, based on kind of the moment and observational of how the interactions are in the family, and we sort of adopted Brazel in a way, and we call him Brazel. His name is Andrew Brazel, but we always seem to call him Brazel. Our whole family kind of adopted him, and we were just charmed by him, and we loved that he was always serenading us in the living room. So he kind of became like a sort of almost like an uncle to the kids, and Jay and I just thought he was so talented, and we just really enjoyed kind of helping him out initially with his adjustment moving from Nashville to LA. So it was cool. It was a cool situation, and so yeah, you're right, the songs very much reflect kind of family life, many of them.
So what has motherhood brought to your songs and your singing, Susanna? Has it changed you now that you're a mother these past 18 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it definitely, my writing, always reflects the various things going on in my emotional landscape and in my life. And I think I feel this kind of wonderful perspective now. I'm really appreciating the whole joy of making music, actually just for the love of it, and how I feel so lucky that I took the time, when I did, to kind of stop all the wheels in motion that were going on for me in the 80s with the Bangles, to really take the time to have a family, just be in one place longer than a night, on the road, and just kind of, it's just been such a joy for me, and I love my family, and we're so close, and so, having a chance to kind of reflect on all that in the music now has just been a gift.
The album's cover, shot by Rebecca Wilson, is a beautiful photograph of you under the cover of a large jet black umbrella. And if I'm not mistaken, I hear a certain melancholy apparent throughout some days, Susanna. Did you feel melancholic when you wrote the album?
Well, I don't know what it is, but I'm always attracted to kind of the push and pull between sadness and deep emotion that's and mixed with lightness, and so sort of the idea of rain. There's like a rain theme throughout many of the songs, but also the light at the end of the tunnel. And I always think of Here Comes the Sun as a song that kind of sums that kind of feeling up for me as a song I really admire a lot, where it's about the sun shining through, but there's a sense that underneath it was something a bit darker, and so the contrasts really appeal to me. And that just reminds me about Ireland again, when we were talking with somebody at one of the bed and breakfasts that we were staying at, and he said something about the weather. He said there's what was he saying? Now I'm not going to get it right, but it's like in Ireland, you never know what the weather's going to be. It's raining one minute and sunny the next, and it's like all these wonderful shades of of green, ever-changing weather moments there, and that's something very appealing to me.
Well, the song True has a beautiful sentiment about how important you believe it is to be true to oneself. It's a journey we take, isn't it, Susanna, to discover who we are and what is true?
Absolutely. And, I think for me, I figured a lot of it out just recently. Something about making this solo record and having kind of had this incredible experience with the Bangles and kind of a journey, really, from bare beginnings as a little club band through the whole 80s thing, through becoming a mother and watching my kids grow up, and now one of them's getting ready to go off to university, and and seeing Jay, my husband's career, go on. It's amazing, the amazing ride he's had as a filmmaker, and because a lot of people, feel like, oh, wow, when you hit 50, it's all over. Well, actually, no. I have something to say about that. It's absolutely not true. It's kind of the beginning of a whole new phase where you have this great perspective and the benefit of all those experiences, and you kind of get to a point where you can say to yourself, there is nothing left but to be true to myself, and as far as art goes, I think in particular to be able to say, now I'm at the point where I really just want to say the things I've always wanted to say and sing the songs I've always wanted to sing, because there's no time like the present. So it's kind of extremely liberating, to be where I feel, for me personally, I'm at right now.
Well, your voice is as clear and unique as ever it has been, Susanna. Tell me, how do you keep your voice in such pristine condition?
Well, thank you. I don't know. I think that it's partly through the years I've just sort of learned how to take care of it, and that, I know that I can't talk too much right before a show, or I shouldn't talk too much after, there really isn't any magic secret about it, just sort of being mindful, of how much rest I need on the road, and I think also just you learn over the years what works and what doesn't, and in a weird way, I feel like my voice is more clear, and I have more kind of control of it than I ever did. Like, I think that's just, again, learning the instrument, and how to take care of it, and I've got to say, I just did this 3-week tour, and I went all over the U.S., and it was like no other tour I've ever done. It was very, very different from Bangles stuff, because every night, usually in the Bangles we'll work up a show, and then, for each tour, and then we'll go and perform it. And it's kind of a tight thing, it's very, scripted in a way, in terms of, we sort of play everything in the same order. I kind of went out there and was like a deer in the headlights, and just sort of admitted that to the audience, like, here I am, I'm in your living room, well, let's pretend we're in the living room together, and what are we going to do? And every night it was kind of different, and it was really, like, refreshing, actually, even though I was terrified part of the time. I was also, loving kind of not knowing what to expect. There was a kind of spontaneous element to it that was really, really exciting.
You have said before this, Susanna, that you were influenced by the punk rock art revolution of the late 1970s, with the Sex Pistols, Patti Smith Group, Blondie, The Jam, Television and Talking Heads on your list of favourites. You listed on the top of that lineup of influences the Ramones. Tell me, Susanna, what was it about the Ramones and their music that set them apart?
Wow, that's such a good question, Sean. Well, I think they were one of the first bands that I heard in the late 70s as I had just started university here. I was actually going to school, University of California at Berkeley. This is across the bay from San Francisco, just to put it on the map for people who don't know that school. And it was right during this whole punk rock revolution, which I was an art student, a dancer up in school, and studying theater, dance, and art. And I started to go to these concerts, like the Sex Pistols and Patti Smith. And I found out about the Ramones, like right around, I guess, right when their albums first came out. And I think for someone like me, who had grown up loving music and had played acoustic guitar, I was very struck by the simplicity and the passion and the energy and the visual. You know, I saw the Ramones as part of a greater movement in art, really, and a cultural phenomenon that was happening where, you know, music, you could hear it in the clubs again. It wasn't just, you know, being a musician meant like a dream that was so far away playing an arena or something. It was really brought back down to like the power of the statement, you know, and it was kind of everything about it. The image, the theater of it, the movement, the songwriting, the visuals. It was very powerful, and I think for me, the Ramones were the band that made me feel like I could do it. I could do this. Like it was like a light bulb went off, and I thought, I mean, I literally thought, I know those same 4 chords that are making up, you know, the bulk of their songs were very simple, and yet it was very fresh to my ears. So I thought, you know, maybe I should go buy an electric guitar, because, you know, I could probably, it felt doable, it felt like something, I don't know, inspiring to me as an actual musician to go and think to myself, you know, I want to do that too.
Well, now, your parents, Tammy and Joshua Hoffs, have undoubtedly played an enormous hand in encouraging you to pursue your talent, Susanna, since you were a young girl. Indeed, instead of saying, oh, music, it's too risky a career, they actually went out and bought you your first guitar. Tell me, how important has that been to you, to have parents who nurtured your creative spirit?
It was fantastic. I mean, you know, one of the things that I learned from my mom was that if there's something you want to do, the sort of follow your bliss motto, do it. But along the way, when the going gets tough, she was always there to say, well, no, you said you wanted to do this, so even when you're when it's tough, don't give up. You know, like she would, even when I was just pursuing dance as a you know, really young girl all through high school, and everybody else was going off and having fun and not having to go to the class and study and sweat and toil through all the work of it. You know, I would at times say, I want to quit. I want to have fun. I don't want to have to go but you know, you can't have one without the other. If that's the dream and you want to pursue it, you just have to stick with it. And you know, even in college, you know, when I was at university, there were points along the way where I thought, I just want to stop and you know, and pursue the music thing. And even though my parents were so, it never discouraged me from trying to be an artist. You know, whatever it was, whether I was a dancer or wanted to do a painter, or, you know, because I studied painting and sculpture, or whether I wanted to be doing theater or dance. The only caveat was, don't quit in the middle. You know, like at least finish, get your degree, and that's exactly what I did. It was like very sage advice, because along the way, you know, all along the path, there's points where you think, this is too hard, I don't want to keep going, but you know, it stuck with me, that kind of follow your bliss, but when the going gets tough, you know, just keep your eye in the right place, you know, don't give up. So it was really kind of good, sound advice that I got from them and continue to get from them. I'm very close with them.
Well, we fell in love with you in Ireland back in the 1980s, Susanna, and we've never let go. Indeed, there's always been a massive turnout to your concerts in Ireland when you come and play with the Bangles. Ireland is close to your heart, Susanna, isn't it?
Yeah, and I have to tell you, Sean, one of the best family adventures we've ever had was we took a 2-week trip to Ireland, and we rented a car and we drove everywhere. And we had the best adventure. We're still talking about it. This was in 2010. We were all kind of playing DJ in the car. We went and stopped at somewhere and got a little cord that you could plug the iPhone into the stereo system in the car, and we were, you know, driving all over the West Coast and all over the East Coast, and we drove from Dublin to Galway. It was just an incredible trip. There's been such a wonderful feeling feeling in my family with my mom's relationship with the Irish filmmakers that she's met, and her many, many trips to Ireland. My recent experiences in Dublin with the concerts that I've done with the Bangles have been right up there. You know, even back in the 80s when we played Slane Castle, you know, and opened up for Queen. I mean, I think my experiences of playing live music in Ireland are sort of unparalleled. I mean, I can't think of any that have been better. I mean, it's an incredible, there's some connection there. I don't know what it is, you know, but I would love to come back and play more with the Bangles and also on my own, or with my other musical partner, Matthew Sweet, who we make these covers records, and we're just finishing up Volume 3. I should send those to you if you don't have them. They're very fun records.
Indeed, your husband, the renowned film director Jay Roach, boasts an ancestral home in Enniscorthy, County Wexford. Will you be coming back to Ireland anytime soon, Susanna?
Well, I don't have any scheduled trip, but I would come back in a heartbeat. I mean, I love it there. We love it there, and the kids do too. The whole family. I think that we should put something in the works to come back.
Well, the people of Ireland love seeing you, Susanna. You also love literature and reading. Tell me, what are you reading at the moment?
Oh, well, I'm reading something that was a favorite book when I was growing up, and I think every once in a while it's good to reread. And I have to tell you, I'm reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I just saw a play at my kids' school where it was a play about the Bronte sisters, and very interesting. My son was in it, my older son, and it was such a wonderful thing, like kind of learning about what their lives were like growing up, and it made me want to reread the book, and it is as fantastic and brilliant as it's ever been. I mean, you know, it's a classic, and it's just interesting when you read something when you're, 15 years old, and it made such an impression to read it now when you're older, and it's still as alive and fresh, and then just, oh wow, it's an incredible, incredible book. So that's what I'm reading now.
Well, you have said in the past, Susanna, you can't depend on accidents to make your career. What did you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
I don't remember saying that. That's so funny. But I think actually I must have said it at one point, and it sounds like it kind of connects back to sort of the sage advice that I got from my mother, that it's yes, there is something about being at the right place at the right time, but it's the preparation and the sort of conviction and the practice and this kind of all the sort of nuts and bolts stuff that you do to prepare, and so that when a good moment or a good opportunity is there in front of you, you're ready. And I think that's probably what I was referring to, although I have no memory of saying that, but it sounds like something that I learned from my mother. You know, like it's the hard work of taking the time to try to really, really get a song right, or really, really be prepared for a tour and all that kind of stuff. So.
And what does the new year bring for you, Susanna?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to planning some more tour dates, kind of in support of my solo record someday. And I'm finishing up with Matthew Sweet, Under the Covers, Volume 3. Volume 1 was the 60s, Volume 2 the 70s, and now we're doing 80s songs. So that's particularly fun and festive and interesting for us. I just don't have any tour dates set, but I'm looking to do that in January, get some runs put together here and there, and I'd love to come to Ireland. So I've just today released a 3-song EP of 1960s covers, and it's called From Me to You. I just wanted to get one more thing out there before the end of the year as a little fun thing that was a labor of love for me. And Mitchell Fromm produced it, and it's actually available digitally, but at all the places where you can get digital music, whether it's iTunes or Amazon or just any of the outlets that sell digital music. It's actually just available today.
Oh, lovely! That's great. And can we find that on your website?
Yes, you can find out on my website. You can find out on the internet. It's all there, on SUSANNAHOFFS.com. And I usually try to message about these things on Facebook and Twitter, so I should do that again today. Yeah, that's a good reminder.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you, Susanna, for coming along and chatting with us here on Radio Irish. I wish you the very best with your beautiful new album of songs.
It's been a pleasure, Sean.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
The beautiful and talented Susanna Hoffs of the Bangles there. And you can visit Susanna at SUSANNAHOFFS.com to purchase your copy of Someday.
RadioIrish.com